When I started a business and it failed and I was in debt and I had to move in with my parents and all this other stuff and was struggling financially, I didn't go get cups of coffee. Like
Hmm.
I didn't go out with my friends. Like I knew I couldn't afford it. And all that money I did plow back into rebuilding myself and debt and all that other crap. But I'm glad that I did. But the whole point of fire in my mind is it's just every single time you make a decision, there's a pro and a con to it. It's, you may enjoy this, or, maybe you want to prioritize being done or starting a new venture. And it's about the ebbs and flows of that.
Yeah, I think it does come down to just prioritization and, if you have options, because it's so easy to feel like you don't have options. If there's only one life you've ever known and it's not financially suitable to you, it's really hard to get out of that.
Totally.
And to go start over somewhere is a significant challenge. And not everybody is empowered to do that, and they don't listen to our podcast, Colin, or they
No.
don't, go out there and find the right people to surround themselves with. So I think that fire is something that can be valuable to some people. But I think the fact that there are these new variations of fire that we're going to get into kind of goes to the point that the original fire maybe was a little bit too limiting.
I think it was. And I think the idea of just someone being done at 30 or 40 and that just being it for work.
Yeah.
People are like, you want to have a job and something to wake up for and a purpose.
Purpose.
And if your purpose is to travel, then that's awesome and
Yeah.
go and enjoy it. But I think at some point in time, for me mentally, I would want to engage in something.
Yeah. Totally. So let's talk about the different variations now.
Yes, I know BaristaFIRE is something you're kind of like. I feel like this jives very well
I
with
love
you.
BaristaFIRE.
Yeah.
I
What
love
is
it
it?
because when I talk to clients about it, it usually is something that like brightens them up, right? Like the
Yeah.
idea that they could essentially go baristify, which is achieving a certain level of financial independence where it's not that you don't, work and make
Mhm.
money to supplement your lifestyle, but you don't need to earn a certain level, right, to live the life that you want to live. So essentially, you're achieving a form of financial independence where you could go work as a barista and earn just enough to supplement your savings to live the life that, you've designed for yourself. It doesn't have to be a barista. You could, as Tori pointed out to me, go work in a brewery, which she feels,
Right.
I feel like I'm being pigeonholed here, Tori.
That's your only path.
Or you could do what my father-in-law does, where he was a library director and he retired from working full time as a librarian and now works part time in libraries around the seacoast. That's just enough to help them do some things that they want to do, some travel, for example. And, when I talk to clients who are just kind of like sick of how much they put into this job that they're working, whatever it might be, but they don't want to pivot into another full time career. Maybe they're just like sick of working full time. They want to contribute to society. They want to have a little extra income. If they've reached a point where when we sit down to do their financial plan, they're in good shape, but they're in slightly better shape if they work a little bit. And that means that they can stop working full time at like 55 or 60 and then have a part time job that they enjoy.
Yeah.
I think when I go to my favorite coffee shop, which I bring up a lot on this podcast, when I go to that coffee shop, the people working there seem really happy
Yeah.
and they seem happy in a way in which they uniquely engage with the community that comes in, the regulars that come into that coffee shop. And we talk about another coffee shop in town here where we walk in and
Everyone's miserable.
it takes them 5 minutes to get over and talk to you.
Yeah.
They don't do anything but monotone, you know, bang on a keyboard and then say, I'll be right out.
Someone asks you what size cortado you want. That's a red flag.
That maybe means that you shouldn't be going to that
Yeah,
particular place.
exactly.
But when they say like, we have a special on espresso martinis, and you're like, I'll have one. They're like, well, we're out. And they don't care.
Or when you ask for one, they're like, "Ugh."
Yeah.
Like, they have to walk over and do it.
Yeah.
It's well, why'd you ask?
Right, exactly. They've studied a lot of people who signed up a long time ago now, who've donated like their brains and their bodies to science. They've studied the impact they've looked for who had Alzheimer's, who didn't, for example. Having a healthy community and relationship with your society really does a lot for you.
Yeah.
And, if that can be where you make a little bit of money and you engage with people and you provide a service. I always think when we are providing a service to people and it's appreciated and you get paid for it, that's like
Nirvana.
yeah, it's a
Yeah.
wonderful combination,
I totally agree. There's like a famous Harvard study where they survey and track people from the beginning of their lives to their end of their lives.
Yeah.
And it's the only survey that has basically been around where it's tracked, I think now multiple generations of people. It was started back in like the 80s, and you probably, or maybe it was the
I think it
early
was no, it was the
1900s.
1900s, and I feel like they tracked different levels of wealth.
They
They
do.
tracked race. Yeah,
I think it was well, I
I
think it
think it's
was
all
based
men,
off of
but
like I think it was based off of like 100 or 200 people, and they do it like subsequently in multiple years, and it's just wherever those people end up. Some of them became presidents, some of them ran companies, some
yeah,
of them got into drugs, it was like a
yeah,
combination of
yeah,
all different types and walks of life. But the thing that they found that was most impactful to someone's longevity is the community that they're involved in. And when someone's isolated, it's when things go poorly.
yeah. That's when you age rapidly.
Yeah.
Like a lot of this is happiness studies, and I think that's kind of what fire is all about: is trying to find contentment,
Hmm.
right? Like with your life, and feeling fulfilled and happy, etc. And, not every job allows you to do that. I was listening to an Adam Grant podcast the other day, and he had a comedian on who has failed over and over and over again starting businesses. But, and I should know the name, but I don't. Um, but she kind of, her daughter thought she was really funny and challenged her to like try stand up.
Okay.
And like now she opens for Tina Fey and Amy Poehler on tour, which is really cool.
Yeah.
But she was talking about how she really hates, and this is something Jess and I talk about a lot, the idea of like follow your passion, like, follow your
Okay.
passion. You never work a day in your life and that bullshit. And, it's so that is such like that's the most extreme privileged thing you can say.
Totally.
But, very few people are passionate about being dental hygienists
No.
or like, a lot of people in the medical field, they might enjoy some of their work, but they didn't like, wake up one day and get really excited about like doing that for the rest of their lives the same way they would have if they were a big, they wanted to be a pop star or
Hmm.
something. I think that there are people who can find, value and fulfillment in their work without having to pretend that it's fun. And not every job is fun.
I think to me, what gets me excited is of the chapters that you brought up before in life.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily see myself being a financial advisor till I'm 65 years old. I'm going to have a really long run at this career, and I love my clients and the people that I work with.
Oh, it's not going anywhere, guys.
Not going anywhere. But with that being said, I could see myself like at some point in my 50s or 60s or whatever it might be, having some sort of barista fire type deal where, you try something new or, you get involved in a different type of community. I'll go back to Kaylee's siblings who fired, and they were really are really passionate about volunteering. And now he's heavily involved in the low income housing developments for
Mm,
several of the towns in New Hampshire. Now he's like the head of whatever it is. And he wouldn't have been able to do that had he not kind of fired his way out, because it's not exactly like the best highest paying job in the world, but because he was a bank manager for a long time and lived way below his means, and they both saved a ton of money, now they're spending most of their time involved in nonprofits in that community, which they love. And that is super cool. I could see that being a very appealing path. My question for you is, what would your barista job be? Would it be pouring beers, or would it be something else?
maybe it would be having a podcast, Colin.
Okay. So you're potentially
No, I mean, I
barista firing now.
honestly, yeah, potentially. I think that, yeah, sure. I'd love to work anywhere where there's the right combination of culture and community. I think that's a great kind of like goal or an ideal situation. That said, I could also, I guess, I was going to say work as at a library, but that checks the boxes of what I was going to say. You know what? I don't like, I feel like most people don't work part time collecting garbage, but we need people to
Fair.
collect garbage. Maybe the robots can collect the
Yeah.
garbage.
Sure. Yeah,
What
yeah,
would you
yeah.
do?
I don't know. I think about this a lot. Like, if something happened and the financial advisory world ceased to exist tomorrow, what's something that I would be really, really interested and enjoy doing? And I think I would enjoy either building something.
Hmm.
So whether it's houses or whatever it might be, something like physical with, my hands and whatnot, or something that is travel related, like helping people
Mm,
with travel.
yeah, like travel planning or credit card
Yeah,
maximization
exactly.
or
Like
yeah.
I really enjoy the problem solving nature of that. And either building something where, you kind of get the immediate satisfaction of like, I built this, here it is, or I fixed this, now it's working, or something in regards to travel.
You could look into being like somebody who runs a tour company, for
There you go.
example.
Yeah.
That would be pretty cool
Yep.
too.
And I build the hotels with my hands.
I think that the things that people gravitate towards, like another one I thought of was like work at a bookstore or something like that. They're
Whole
kind of,
Foods is another
oh,
one
Whole
that
Foods,
some clients
Trader
have done.
Joe's,
Trader
people
Joe's, yeah.
do. Yeah.
Everyone's so happy there.
Yeah. I think that that's like an ideal situation. It still has a certain amount of dependence,
Mhm.
right? You're not financially independent in that situation because for certain aspects of your lifestyle, you are dependent on that part-time work and part-time income. Should we talk about Coast Fire?
I think we should, but just 1 second really quick on the Barista Fire. I think what's really important about not just Barista Fire, but the whole thing is the whole idea of lifestyle creep and
Oh yeah.
trying to
Yeah.
avoid that.
Yeah.
Because like none of these things work if you are involved in lifestyle creep. And lifestyle creep, I don't know if everybody knows what that is, but it's basically the idea of the more money you make, the more money you spend. And as opposed to just saying to yourself, I'm happy with my existing lifestyle, going out as much as I do, or my existing car or house, and all this kind of other stuff. Whenever someone makes more money, they tend to get a bigger house or a fancier car or bigger trips or whatever it might be. And the whole idea of, in my mind, fire and the barista fire is, and we'll get into coast fire too, is just getting to the point where you're very happy with your lifestyle and sustaining it. So that way, as your income and things do grow, you can capture that excess. And I think that that's an important caveat to keep in mind for fire people that's out there.